welcome. Good afternoon. Here's your mic.
Okay, thank you.
You did a session called Big Data, Game Changer or Hype? Well,
Exactly.
let's start with that question. What do you think?
What do you think? It's more like a rhetorical question.
Okay, I think it's definitely being hyped. I think there's overmuch attention. However, I'm very curious to learn from you where the real value is.
Well, they sometimes say that big data is something like teenage sex.
Yeah, everybody's talking about it, but nobody's actually doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And everybody's claiming that they're doing it. Well, I'm sure that we are really doing it in the field of transport at least. So in the mobility domain, you can say that, well, almost everybody now is carrying a mobile phone.
Yeah.
And not everybody knows, but a mobile phone is able in 10 different ways to determine where that phone is at that moment.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of systems which are using data and generating data on the
location-based data.
On the location of people.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is, in fact, what I sometimes call, we're trying to answer the question, who, where, when, why, how, and what.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions.
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But actually, using data from mobile phones, and it's not only GSM data, but it's also data from Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, well, all kinds of sensors which are in your mobile phone.
Yeah.
If you collect them and you put them on a map, and you analyze them and you enrich them with other kinds of information, you are able to get more information than we ever had in the past.
Okay.
So we come from a field where it was normal to collect data either from sensors in the road or in vehicles or questioning people. I just ask him, where did you go? Why did you go there? What were you doing? What kind of mode of transport were you using? All these kind of things you don't have to ask anymore. Because
you can just seamlessly recognize.
Exactly.
And now what? How are we going to make this to use?
And how are we going to make it to use? Well, it's really interesting. If you look at the TED Talks, there was one recently, a person saying, how is big data changing the business models we're in at this moment? Okay. And what we're seeing is that it's really rapidly changing in very many ways. Of course, one of the interesting examples is one about the Human Genome Project. The Human Genome Project was fulfilled in 2000, and I think it cost $2 billion to do it. For one person to say, this is your DNA. The prediction now is that in the year 2015, so 1 year from now, the same price for a person will be $100.
Exactly.
So
that's massive. That's what big data can do.
That's what.
But now let's bring it to this domain.
Let's bring it to this domain.
Mobility.
In the mobility domain, what I already said, what we used to do was to collect this data from surveys. And now the sample is changing very rapidly. We used to have data on maybe 1,000 people. If you have a large sample, maybe 100,000. But at this moment, we have samples from millions of people. And we do not only have data from within a country, but also people crossing borders. So what's happening, and that's why I was talking about the Human Genome Project, it's creating new fields of knowledge. It's creating new questions, and it's also creating new answers in the sense that we're able to provide this information in the sense that we can make new services. An example.
Yeah, please, can you give us an example?
If you're talking about multimodal transport at this moment.
Meaning road, train, never, in one trip or,
Exactly, in one trip. What you would normally do is say, well, I can tell you how long it will take you to go by car, or I can tell you how long it will take you to take the public transport. So what we can do now is put all these data together and think, what is the real optimal trip for a person the real optimal trip for a person. So not thinking about only using a car or only walking, but seeing, making a connection of different modes. Now, as soon as you do that, you really need a lot of extra information. Not only on the past, but also on the present. Where is the person exactly at that moment? Yeah, and what is the public transport system doing?
At
what is the road network?
And in the near future, of
and
course.
in the near future, the prediction is necessary. And for all this type of application, you really need big data. You cannot do this with the old type of data. Not only because it's much too expensive to collect it in that way, but it's getting easier and cheaper to collect this data and provide new types of services and products.
Exactly. Now I'm wondering, because this is the story about big data, right? Now I'm I'm a startup, and I want to make this intermodal traffic planner.
Yeah.
How would I ever get access to this big data? This sounds so mysteriously. How could I get access to all these mobile phones, to their movements, to that? I mean, how do we turn this into real companies and projects and applications?
Well, there are different companies. Like there's a company in the Netherlands which is called Mobidot. They developed an app which registers every movement you are making at any moment in time. Yeah. And just collects this data and provides or adds to this data, for instance, where do you live, where do you do your shopping, where do you work, which routes are you taking, which modes of transport are you taking. Taking these data, so it's easy to build an app like that. Everybody can do that at this moment because it's just general technology which is available in your mobile phone.
True, but then people need to install that app, and then we have again this adoption and network effect and blah blah. While you also say the data is already somewhere in a system with someone. I mean, the data is already there.
For instance, data like from mobile phone operators. At this moment, mobile phone operators, they're just thinking, well, we do have this data, but how can we make use of it in a way that we also earn some money with it? Because it's not free data.
Like we saw a big bank in the Netherlands trying to experiment a little bit with that. And for international viewers, let me explain to you, we had a very large bank in the Netherlands who thought they should maybe monetize their big data, and they were kind of, well, they were frowned upon by the public massively.
Yes, exactly.
So
this happened before. So everybody is worried about privacy issues. Everybody is also trying to, keep people in a private mode, so not taking their data and misusing them. I think it really is possible to do that. On the other hand, a lot of things are happening. If you're looking at the amount of information Google
already collects.
Collects. They always say that what happened in Eastern Germany many years ago was just really peanuts.
Exactly. All right. If you could give our viewers one final tip, if they want to leverage the opportunities of big data, where should they start?
I think the open data domain, we haven't talked about that, but within the big data domain, the open data domain is really very interesting. So if you really know where, for instance, public transport, cars are at that moment, you can really make very interesting apps and applications, and also like the whole sharing movement of sharing cars, using that kind of data to do to develop new services. And I'm really sure that this will change the world rapidly in the next years.
All right. Great. Well, Peter, thank you very much. Thank you for joining me here and shining your light on the big data trend. I think we can indeed conclude it's not a hype, and there is a massive opportunity there. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the show. All right.